We're here at the Crystal Cafe today for our holiday Oracle Circle. And we are drinking our blue tea from Alaska. And we're here with Emmy to give us more on Oracle cards.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for stopping in. This ended up really nice. We've got some furry friends joining us today. So today's gathering, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Oracle readings, but I want to start off by talking a little bit about the difference between Oracle and Tarot readings, because I'm sure you've heard of Tarot as well. So Tarot is a set of 78 cards. It's always 78 cards. Each card also has traditional meanings, and it's more structured. You have a book, so if you buy this deck and this deck, they're still going to have the same structure, the same meaning, the same amount of cards. Oracle cards are actually more free-form. So if you actually look at the decks here that are in front of you, they're all different. They all have a different type of theme, and not all Oracle decks have the same amount of cards either. So basically every deck you're using is very different in its own. There's angel cards, there's starseed cards, there's goddess cards, there's my witch deck, which I use for shadow reading. So it's all very different, and it's more, they're not set. They really don't have a set meaning. And it's a little more, I guess, flowy. For me, each deck has their own, they really have their own energy. I connect with each deck very, very differently. And I actually have two decks right now that I'm actually not offering in readings. They're actually my own personal decks right now. So it's these two decks here, and I'll just tell you why I'm using them personally, like for personal use. So this is the Rose Oracle, and this one really connects me with my guides and my ancestors, and just very deep. Like as soon as I touch the cards, I can just feel like such a power coming from them. And then this one here, the Inner Temple, there's 4 different categories of the cards where you're working through chambers. So when you're working through something and you get into a chamber, it's like a chamber in your soul is opening. So right now, the first chamber I got was the Chamber of Innocence, which was really working with my younger self, who always protected me, and kind of working with that. Once I released that, I got into the Chamber of Transformation, because that became the next level of my transformation. There's polarity cards, so it could be hold on or let go, night and day, and whichever one is flipped up is basically the one that it's telling you to focus on. So it's a really beautiful deck. The Sacred Cycles, this one here, was my first deck, and I love this one because this one is all about your cycle. So your menstrual cycle as well as your lunar cycle, because even when you're no longer menstruating, you still have a cycle and you follow the moon cycle. And this one can be read as each phase of your cycle that you go through, or you can use it as the 4 seasons. So if you run a business and you're like, okay, I want the next 12 months, what to focus on. So it can tell you what to focus on in winter, what to focus on in spring, and take you through 12 months. It's really beautiful. That's how I use the decks. How somebody else uses them for readings would be different, though it does focus more so on the menstrual cycle. So moving through seasons is more so how this deck works. Feminine Wisdom, beautiful deck. Actually, this is the deck that I used for Kasha's reading last night. She's going to be talking about that in a little bit. Beautiful deck. The imagery on it, there's so much to actually go deep. I work a lot with like symbolism and colors. So it's not for me just reading the card, but I actually go deep into the symbolism of the card and like actually what it means. And I may pull the same card for you two ladies, but it would actually mean something different. I could do the same reading, same cards, but it would actually mean something completely different. So that's the really beautiful thing with oracle reading as well, because there was actually a card that came up in Cash's reading, which I find I pull a lot, but it always interprets very different depending on the reading. And it's not that I'm reading the card differently. I don't want to say channel, but it's almost like when I'm doing a reading, I can feel it, what the card is and what the message is specifically for that person. The elemental oracle, I absolutely love. I hate saying that because I love absolutely every single deck that I have, but the elemental oracle actually works with the elements of the earth. So earth, air, fire, water, which is your emotions, your body, your thoughts, and your spirit. So that's a really beautiful card deck that dives really deep. So I do a soul map reading with that. So going through something a little difficult, this really dives into your soul on what to focus on and what to let go. And my witch deck, I actually want to tell you a little story about the witch deck. So that was my second deck, and witch deck, it stands for woman in total control of herself. So really beautiful deck. And a friend of mine and I, we were doing these online gatherings for women, and we were talking a lot about history of, are you familiar with the Wounded Witch? The Wounded Witch is our ancestors and the wounds that they carry that we've now carried forward. So women being shunned, women who were into holistic medicine being called witches because they like to use things from the earth. So we were talking about things like that, and just like, we called it the wisdom bowl. It was just like little bits of wisdom for women in our history and bringing back that power. And she had brought in the Wounded Witch, and I hadn't heard about it at the time. And she was talking about it. She had this beautiful poem that she had put into the slideshow. It was just beautiful, and I really felt it. I felt so connected. And then when I came across this deck and I held it, there was so much power in it, like, that I almost cried. I'm like, I need to buy this deck. So I got home, and oracle decks always come with like a booklet, and you can read about the deck. And when I opened up the booklet, it was the poem, The Wounded Witch, that my friend had read. And I knew right then and there that that deck was meant for me. Another time I was holding a webinar for women, and I pulled from my Sacred Cycles deck, and I pulled The Red Tent. I don't know if you're familiar with that. The Red Tent is a book about menstruation and how women bleed on the new moon, and for 7 days they stay in that tent with each other. They don't cook or watch the children. They bleed together. It's a ceremony, like, it's this beautiful thing, and it creates community and like female support. So I pulled it right before my webinar. I'm like, oh, this is great, because this is what I want to do. I want to create the community, but I think I could use a little more support. Pulled from my witch deck, and from the witch deck I pulled the Red Tent, same card. So it always blows my mind how empowering, but also just like, it's like the cards know. Like, I don't even, it's just like, it's not a coincidence. This deck, actually, when I was looking at it in the store, because a lot of times in the stores, they have open decks, so you can look at them and go through them. And I pulled, it was the Red Poppy or something like that. I took the card home, and I just wanted, sometimes in the books, they have like different readings that you can do. I'm like, I just want to go over this reading and see if I like it. And the first card I pulled was the Red Poppy.
So again, all of these synchronicities is what we call them. Does anybody have any questions about oracle cards or the decks? Do you?
Yeah, I'm curious how you choose which one you're going to use.
They tell me.
And then I was also wondering, when you say it has a same card, different meaning for two different people.
Right.
Is that because of the sequence of the other cards picked around it, or just specifically about the energy of that person in relation?
It's specifically the energy of that person in relation to the reading. And the way I do my readings is I do them ahead of time. So I just have a little questionnaire. I don't need to know anything about you, and I pull the reading. So depending on the reading, some will actually take me 2 hours. I kind of find it very personal pulling cards, like just like how I do everything. Sometimes they can take me 2 hours, because once I start reading, and again with Cash's, a pattern actually started flowing that kept repeating back and back and back as we did the cards. So I just find it personal, but I could have pulled the exact same reading for you, but your question is very different, right? Like the question you asked me for your reading today is different than Cash's. So you could have had the same layout, but the way it would have come out is very different. And what I see in the cards, like the image on it, the way I see this image for Cash's reading, I might see something differently in this card for your reading.
Okay.
The interpretation.
Yeah, the interpretation is very different. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
I know, I can read your mind.
So yeah, it's very different. And when it comes to me doing my own readings, the cards tell me. I don't know how else to explain it. It might sound very
It's your
woo,
intuition.
but yeah, my cards are just very, like today I pulled from Sacred Cycles, hadn't pulled from it in a while, and I was like, I need to pull from that deck. When I actually did Cash's reading, when I finished, I had this huge pull to pull something from the Witch deck for her to do a shadow card. And that's not something I normally do, but it was pulling me so much. And the shadow card was like right on with the
nail
reading.
in the coffin.
It was like, yeah, it was.
What are you reading? What is the reading? Like, what are you reading? Like, what
Whatever you want to know
about yourself?
about yourself. So I don't do relationships or financial advice because Oracle isn't a yes or no question. So somebody might say, I'm starting a new business and, you know, I find it really overwhelming. Like, is this going to be successful? Someone could be relationship, maybe, you know, someone's like, I just have a lot going on and I want to know, you know, I feel overwhelmed, and that's all I need to read the cards, and then that's it.
So whatever challenges are happening in your life, the cards almost give you like a clarity, a direction perhaps, or just for you to have a realization.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it is that, like, I have a few decks here that, you know, I have on display that people can play with. I call it play because it's exploring or learn about. And every time that I pull from one of those decks is, what do I need to know today for my day?
Yeah.
And it comes up and it's like, oh, today we need to be still. So that means instead of me going online and doing all my postings or this or that today, I need to just calm down and be in my moment as opposed to 10 steps ahead.
And it won't give you like, I need, like, is my business going to be successful? Is this move, me moving, the right decision? It's not going to tell you yes or no, but what it can tell you is whatever you're doing here to move to here, to move to here, will get you there. So it tells you how to move a certain way. My witch deck now I use as a shadow deck. So shadow sounds really bad, but it's more like the deeper step in your soul that you push down. So I use that now. I've been doing a lot of spiritual work, and one of the things I've been getting into is shadow work, and that really helped me with something deep inside of me that I didn't even know about. That brought it forward for me, and I was like, okay, this is something that I really need to focus on. A lot of times when I pull my cards, I'm like, what message do you have for me today? Or I'm feeling really overwhelmed with this business stuff, and, you know, what direction should I go, or what message do you have for me today? The other day I was sitting with something that I've been sitting with for a while, and I'm like, I don't want to go to the cards because I don't want to know the answer to this. Like, I just don't, you know, it's something that I just don't want to ask the cards. And I pulled a card that night, and the card was an answer to the question that I didn't want to ask. He's checking out the meditation. He's going to come out all zen.
Yeah.
So they're really a beautiful way. The way that I can really explain it, if this makes sense, is, you know, the little voice, that niggling voice you have in the back of your head.
This is what Emmy talked to you.
And it's that voice that you don't necessarily listen to. That's what's speaking to you in the cards. It's your inner voice. It's your inner power. It's your divine. And that's what it is. It's not me speaking to you. I'm giving you a message through the cards. Yeah, really beautiful. Nothing freaky or scary about it. I had actually one woman that I did a reading with. She's in India, and she never had one done before. And when I did the reading for her, she was like, that was so creepy and amazing at the same time. She goes, because everything that came out in the cards was everything I know that I should be doing. She goes, and I don't know how you did that or how you know it. She goes, but wow. Because it's kind of like I'm speaking. It's I guess it might feel like, oh my goodness, how do you know that? What I don't need to know you. Like I don't need to, you know.
And it's
like,
not like any personal information is revealed either, right? Like if you have one question that you want answered, that's just you're putting it out there. And then the way the cards are laid, it's like, well, in order for you to get that answer, maybe you need to go through 1, 2, 3 steps before that answer even becomes clear.
Like you might, like when I do a card, I might say, you might be experiencing this, or maybe this has happened in the past, but whatever it is, this is what it's telling you to acknowledge right now. But I don't know anything. So it's not like I do background checks or anything like that. It's just it's very magical. I've gotten very deep with them recently. And it's kind of like having your own little magic 8-ball, but more in a magical, connected way. So I'm gonna do a pull.
So can we let our visitors decide which deck you pull
Well,
from?
that deck is actually talking to me right now.
Which one? The Feminine Wisdom?
Yeah, that's the one that's pulling me.
It's saying I'm in a group set.
But do you have any questions?
Well, you know I'm very curious.
I know. She's having a reading with me after this.
And
so.
I guess what I would say about it is, I think this idea that you do know somewhere inside yourself, like I'm struggling with a question, and I can't land on it, and I'm just wondering, like, is that okay, or like,
What is that?
And so your 1, 2, 3 thing. So I'm hoping it helps me sort of clarify my own stew a little bit.
Is
Like,
this what ground look like you're gonna buy next?
yeah, no, I have the most beautiful.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, that's okay.
No, I'm wondering if I should buy fat bike actually.
Yeah.
So I cannot give you yes or no
Yeah.
questions or purchases. This
We're
is
just
not what
being
this is.
funny. That's like
But in a way, it's that kind of thing. Like, like when you're looking at your friends on the fat bike and you're thinking, I wonder if I would like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should buy that.
Right, and then there's that voice in
And
your
the voice
head.
is like, and you probably know, like, hey, can you afford it? All these things,
Yeah.
right? And then, but for some reason you can't surface it. Like, you can't bring up, like,
And that's because that
the journey.
voice, that inner voice, that true inner voice, we've been silencing it through our whole path and our journey into adulthood. We've learned to be more logical than following our own intuition. And everybody has this intuition, and everybody can develop it, and you can rely on it in so many different levels. And the oracle cards just help you confirm that little voice that you've been like shushing, like, wait, no, you're what you're saying is unreasonable. It doesn't make sense. No, I'm not going to go buy a brand new car right now when I have this bill to pay and that bill to pay. But really, that brand new car, it's not about the purchase. It's about who you're going to meet when you go buy that brand new car.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so there's always something else, and it builds on something else, right? And you don't even know where it's coming from. And that voice we've all been silencing. So now it's time to let that inner voice, that inner child, maybe, finally come to the surface and scream and be the leader of the pack.
So with that being said, can you maybe just talk about your experience with the reading? You don't have to just talk specifically about the reading.
Oh, no, I don't mind. It was so I've opened up this shop here, and it's been good to start, but obviously things can always be better, right? We can always have more interest and more events and whatnot. And I wanted this space to be a place where people can gather and do exactly what we're doing, is learning from each other. So my question was, I don't even remember my question.
The question was about opening up the business right now and just a lot going on, and you want your business to be a success. It was really nothing, it wasn't a specific question, it was just more situational.
How can I ensure, I guess, success? And the first three cards that were laid out, so what Emmy explained to me was when the cards are flipped upside down, those are alignment cards. So that means you need to align these items in your life in order to proceed to the next step. And the three bottom cards, because there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 cards. So the three bottom cards, they were all upside down, all of them. And they were what was it like? Do you remember what they were? Because I know that they all had to do with surrendering to my own inner voice,
Less
and
masculine, more feminine flow.
And the flow is stop trying to hustle and find your flow. So the three bottom cards, they were exactly pretty much the same, in that sense that they were calling me to bring these things into alignment, to balance these things in my life in order to move up to the next level. And the next three cards, the next four cards, they were all upright. So they were empowerment. And I know that one of them was a success card, one of them was a safety card, and I don't remember the
Hope was the top one.
Hope was the top, and I don't remember the middle one now.
Balance.
Balance.
Balance was on the bottom.
So I'm being called to bring things into my life into balance and with the flow. So even stop trying so hard. It's already on its way to you, and just trust the process. And that's what we all kind of have a hard time with, is trusting the process to get there and holding that hope and that faith and that end result.
How did it align for you, the reading? How did it feel to you?
Well, it's things that I already know that I've been pushing away. I've been like, yeah, I know I need to work on these things. And to me, it was, well, these things have been presented to me to align, to empower myself to get to the next level. He just wants those treats. Yeah. Yeah, feed me those treats. So it did. And the last card at the top was the hope card. So it essentially meant that you have to hold on to that feeling that you know that this is the right path and where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, that hope that you feel when you are on the right path. You have to trust in the process in order to climb that ladder to get there. So it was confirmation for me. It was like, hey, get back down to this work and get back down to, and on my shadow card was a surrender card.
Yeah.
So I'm being brought to surrender myself to trust in the divine energy and the divine path that I'm already on.
And it aligned perfectly because the shadow card wasn't necessarily something to get rid of, but the shadow card itself was actually a guide in her shadows, guiding her to surrender. And it literally just lined up perfectly with everything.
And that surrender has been on my mind and on my path for a long time. And to learn how to surrender, because I don't know how to do that. Like I do, sure, I surrender. But really it's more of a mindset, is being able to have that faith in.
And the cards kind of showed you how to surrender into that, right?
Yeah, there was a stepping stone, a path, and yeah, to balance and whatnot.
And every reading comes with a summary with an image of your card. So that way, so when my clients do a program with me, they get a reading at the beginning and at the end of their 3-month program. And she has actually printed it out, and it's something that she goes back to. Like there's one card she's like focusing on specifically, to remind herself, okay, like I can't overload myself here. Like this is where I really need to concentrate and like balance myself. So it's also something that you can, go back to and use it as kind of like guidance when you're feeling overwhelmed. Like, what did my cards tell me again?
And sometimes you just forget.
Yeah.
Because you're just sitting there and you're like, great, great, I like this, I am okay, and then you leave or the next day and you're like, wait a minute.
Because it's a
Like
lot.
we couldn't even remember what one of the cards was now.
Yeah, and it can be a lot to take in as well. Like you as the person who's receiving, it can be very overwhelming. I have had women cry before just because I've hit such a spot. And then I'm sensitive, right? Like I'm intuitive, so then I start crying. And it can be very like a lot of information for yourself going, oh my goodness, because how the reading is going to affect you, I don't know, because I don't know a lot of the stuff that I'm reading. It's just, it's the message that comes to the card. But for me, it's also very tiring for me because I put so much energy into it, and the messaging that comes through me, it's just like after I'm like exhausted from the reading, and then when I do the reading with you, because it can be really emotional for you, then I feel that energy as well. But it's a really, really nice energy. I like it. Before I do the reading, I want to tell you something about the goddess deck. Sometimes I pull cards to go deeper into my dreams, and I pulled a goddess card, and I was asking about ancestors, like if any of my ancestors or guides are going to be in my dream, like what is something that I can look for. I was talking about like high energy and look for this color and that color, dancing, all this. And I woke up in the morning and I said, oh my goodness, I was dancing in my dream last night, which was confirmation that that guide had been there with me last night. So, and they blow me, I'm a reader, and they blow me away every single time I do the cards, especially on myself. I'm always like, just so amazed by the power of them.
Yeah, every time. Like
Every
I have a couple
time.
decks and I'm like, what do we need to know today? And it like shuffling them, sometimes cards just pop out. And that's always, it's not by accident.
No.
It's always like, this is what you need to know.
Never
And there's
by
no way that you're going to miss it by trying to pull the wrong card. You want to let's pull the deck?
Yeah,
pull the
so I was
card?
going to say, I'm feeling the feminine wisdom, but I'm wondering as a collective if there's a card.
Yeah, the elemental oracle. That's what I'm choosing.
Oh my gosh, she wants to look at that deck. Don't go based off what she says. What's everyone feeling?
I don't have a pull to any of it.
Okay.
Like I'm quite curious about all of it.
I love it.
I mean, I thought it was interesting that you were drawn to feminine wisdom.
Okay.
Because, like, the three of us are of a certain age. Like you were talking about menopause. Like we're all three much past that. So.
Actually, you're still in it. You're in menopause for the rest of your life.
Right, but you know what I'm saying. And that clarification, yes. But what I'm saying is though, like there's a lot of wisdom here.
Yeah.
Which is
And it
interesting.
also relates to the feminine wisdom within us, because as you know, we live in very, sorry for those men watching on YouTube, we live in a very patriarchal society.
Right.
And if you go back to the beginning of creation, I don't know if you're familiar with Sophia, the mother creatrix of the universe, our feminine power was actually pushed away, and it always has been, right? That feminine wisdom that, you know, even women in menopause, you know, push down, feeling like we're not worth it. But meanwhile, it really truly is like this whole life upgrade, a neurological upgrade. Like there's so much to it. So feminine wisdom isn't necessarily just about age, but you're right. Like you're in a later stage of life, which is known as the crone, which is like that woman of wisdom. But this is also the feminine wisdom deep inside, because as we mentioned with Cash's reading too, she's got that hustle energy. A lot of us women have that hustle energy because we're in that hustle world, and hustle is masculine energy and flow is feminine energy. So, I mean, there's a possibility that you're more hustle and not flow.
Cyclists are typically pretty hustly.
Yeah, I would say you're always hustling, trying not to get hit by a car, right?
Common, those three ladies.
Yeah.
But I'm drawn to feminine wisdom.
All of them sound very fascinating. I kind of like the deeper,
The elemental oracle. Okay, I'm going to go with that one because I have 2 votes on that one. When I say I love this deck, and again, I'm going to say I apologize to all of you because I feel such a connection to all of them. Like I'll be like, I love this deck so much. I have such a connection with it. But then like just doing a reading from this card, like especially the images, like there's just so much. So I love all of it so much.
Something about the elements, right?
Yeah.
But I like how you said the wisdom, the women wisdom,
Well,
and
like
that was very accurate.
Lived wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, and I realize wisdom isn't always about age. I just thought it was interesting because there's some good lived wisdom in this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that. I like that connection.
Sorry, I had to correct you on the menopause thing because we're so uneducated on it about women are so uneducated with our cycles and with menopause. I've had women ask me what perimenopause is. They've actually said to me, "Oh, I thought one day I just stopped getting my period and that's it." Like they have no idea about the process that they go through. So,
Well, I knew about it before I got there, but certainly, like when I learned about menstrual cycle and everything, no one talked about what was going to happen
No.
later. They just said, "Oh, and then it will stop,"
Yeah.
and they didn't say,
yeah,
"And oh boy, is a bunch of stuff going to happen in the 10
Yeah.
years leading up to that," right?
Yeah.
They just said, "Oh, and then it will stop." But the conversation was more available as I approached that age,
Yeah.
like 20 years ago.
I think
Yeah.
there's still a lot of
But there is a
ongoing
lot.
research and
learning.
knowledge about.
Yes, like
you know.
there's ground to cover, but I would say compared to where we were, say when we all went through grade school and learned about even just the idea of the cycle, it all kind of stopped at, oh, and then you get pregnant, and then that's it. And then remember all the things they didn't
And
tell
then
you
you're a
that were going to
has-been.
happen. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing. That's what society does and
Yeah.
pushes down that wisdom. Because for me, as someone who's been in it now for 7 years, I find this a very powerful stage. It's a very big, powerful stage of letting go of what no longer serves you and really coming into your authentic self. Because at the end of the day, we just don't
100%.
really
Don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, at this stage in life, like I don't
There are no
care.
fucks left.
Yeah.
I was just being careful because we were on YouTube, so
That's okay. It's a recording.
You can edit it out.
We can silence that, but it's very accurate. So
Right?
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
I
true.
will.
Like you're just at the
It's
point where
this
someone
video is
says
not for
something
children.
and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
dogs welcome though.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. You get to that point of transformation where you just say no, and that's what you're gonna do is just say no. I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to do that, and you can't make me because now I'm in this stage that you can't make me do things anymore.
I think you're also, I mean, you kind of touched on it. When you become older, you become more okay with yourself. And
Yes.
so you're more okay with saying
Yeah.
no, because
Right.
it doesn't serve me. Might serve you and that's fine, but it's really not serving me. So
Being okay to hold those boundaries.
100%.
Yes.
So I pulled as you were talking,
You got
and I'm gonna send the card around the circle so everyone can see it. But so this card is the rock card, and it says, "Look for the groundedness in a chaotic situation. Be patient, slow and steady is the way to success. The obstacle is sometimes the way through. Do not be discouraged. Slow progression as long as progression is being made." And this card, rock, represents the earth, which actually represents the body. So this could be something physical or something within you. And I find this comes up in a lot of readings lately. Just be slow and patient, steady. So the word of power with this card is endure. And I'm just going to read a bit about this because it always talks a little bit about the element as well. So everyone knows a rock when they see it, although most of us do not notice much about them. There are 3 kinds of rocks: igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. Rocks are a key component of the Earth's outer solid layer, the crust. The mining of rocks for human use has existed since prehistoric times. Rocks for building, metal ore, and gemstone content are but a few reasons they are mined at the scales they are. Rocks can be shaped over time by elements such as water and wind, which I want to also say, water and wind is also emotion and mind. So speaking of the body, how we move physically is also very shaped by our emotions and our minds, so what we take in. River rocks, for example, because of the erosion effects of the water, become smoothly shaped with no corners. On a huge scale, canyons such as the Grand Canyon were worn down by water and wind, yet they endure. So when you look at the picture, you're going to see that it's kind of like a lone rock with a tree out of it. So as it said, you know, even as people, I can see you as a person, but I don't really know much about you. There's still, you know, you've got roots in there, you've got, you know, life growing out of you. Even in, yeah.
Let's pass it. Let's have a look.
Just to have a look. And as a person, we endure a lot, right?
I like that last part that you said, the Grand Canyon. Look what that endured to become what? And we've all endured things. So I'll just put it up to the camera for a second.
So it's not just endurance, like physically, like, you know, I can climb a mountain or I can cycle for hours on end. It also represents the endurance of life itself. Okay.
Well, I think that's a great gathering. Thanks for all of our ladies who joined us today, and we'll be back at it. We'll keep you posted on when that's going to happen next. And Emmy is here Thursday, December 11th. So please feel free to come and book a reading with her.